Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're a Cowboy fan, you know how devastating this is that Dak Prescott, which is the quarterback of the team, went down with a season-ending injury. And today we're going to dive into the detail what the exact injury entail, especially when it comes to tearing your hamstring that require surgery. And we're looking at like 6 months recovery from to go back on the field. So unfortunately, his season is already ended. So first and foremost, if you're new to this channel, please like, subscribe, and we're going to go through what happened with this injury, why it happened, and how different exercises that I would recommend for young athletes to start doing so that way you can prevent season-ending injury like this. So let's dive right into it. So what we're going to do is let me share my screen, and we're going to go into what exactly happened with this injury. So if you look at this one, right? So you see Dak is rolling out, and it's going to happen on his plan leg, right? Which is his right leg. And as I let this video play, you can see that as soon as he stepped into it, he pushed off rotate. But what happened is that he over rotated. His hip didn't get turned. So what that does is create tissue tension in the hamstring, where it's literally just pulling off the bone. So you can see from his face, you can see that he's in a lot of pain. So let's watch that again. He's stepping back, and when he's pressing down in his leg to rotate, he pushed off. That hamstring's really pulling, and you can tell that it's really pulling off the bone, especially up top by his pelvis. So that's usually what happened. So now when it comes to preventing this kind of injury, you got to look at a couple things. So if you're a rotating athlete, you're a pitcher, you're a quarterback, I always look at pelvis mobility. Can you rotate your pelvis? If you can rotate your pelvis, that means you can actually, you don't need to rely on your hamstring so much to help you, push off, right? Because you use your glutes in order to rotate. So the first exercise I have is actually going to be about foam rolling exercises, which is going to help you clear out those tissue tension that you have. If you have tight hamstring to begin with, and you play in the cold and you don't have sufficient warm up, this is going to address that and make you feel a little bit better. So let's dive right in. So the first exercise, you're going to do some warm up on your lower body, right? So this is one of the video that we did in the past for lower body warm up. And now if you look at this, right, I always started my foam rolling at the calf. So as you can see, I target the calf first because the calf and the hamstring and the glutes are all connected, right? So you can clear up. If the calves are tight, guess what? It's going to pull into the hamstring. The hamstring then going to pull into the glutes a little bit. So from there, you see, I just go up and down for 10 reps. And if I want a little bit of pressure, I just put pressure on top of my calf. And then I just flex my foot up and down. And you can do this for 10 reps, right? And then after you're doing that, you can go ahead and then start working your way up into the hamstring. So now I work my way up towards the hamstring. So I go literally right behind the knee, all the way up to my glutes, right before the squat. So I'm going to go back again to show you. So I'm all the way up and down for 10 reps, right? When you do that, you're actually going to get instant relief, and you're going to get more flexibility when it comes to your hamstring. So that's what's extremely important. The warming up is extremely important when it comes to that. Then after we finish warming up, now your hamstring feel nice and loose. Now what we want to do, we actually want to open up your hips. And this is my favorite exercise to do. So we call this a hip mobilization exercise. So from here, what you're going to do is you're going to set up the band like so, right on the front of your hips. And you're going to get into a pigeon pose. That band is really going to pull your hips back. So that's going to allow that rotation into that hip. So when you go to throw, you have more range of motion, so your hip can rotate better, and therefore you don't put a lot of tension into your hamstring. And that's would prevent the hamstring from over pulling, right? The way I'm looking at it is that if your hamstring is a rubber band, right, and if your calves are tight, it's going to pull the rubber band from one end, and it's going to pull the rubber band from the top end even more, right? But now we're losing all of that up. This one is not going to have that much tension, so the rubber band up here can move freely. And therefore, you can rotate effectively, and you don't have to overcompensate by digging into the turf more, which caused the avulsion at the hamstring. So, doing hip mobilization exercise like this for 10 reps to 15 reps prior to you throwing, that's really going to warm up your hamstring, your hips. And again, this can go for any position. So like if you're a running back, if you're a wide receiver, if you're a baseball player, right? These are drill that I would actually give you to do, so that way you can feel your hips and your hamstring moving correctly without putting yourself at risk. So that's going to be the first thing when I want to share when it comes to prepping your body. You always want to prep them first before you go into warm up, right? Now, when let's say you have history of chronic hamstring strain or chronic hamstring tear in the past, you want to strengthen your hamstring, right? Especially in a slow eccentric way. So I'm going to go into the next two exercises I really like for my patients to do when it comes to rehabbing their hamstring or working throughout the season, so that way prevent injury. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the exercise portion of this now. So I'm going to give you two exercises, and it's going to be something really, really simple that we also share on our YouTube channel as well. So we're going to go with this one. So now with this one, it's going to be a bridge iso hold and eccentrically control with the hamstring. So you're kind of lowering your body down and you're using a slider. So if you're at home, you have sliders, you can use that. Or if you have a hardwood floor, you use a towel. You can do this anywhere. Look, it's so simple. So what I do is like from here, I'm literally going to bridge up. You see how I load my glutes right there. And I'm going to slowly slide down and then pull it back. You see that? So as I'm sliding down, I'm stretching my hamstring. As I'm pulling back up, I'm actually strengthening it. So this is like one of the best exercise you can do if you have tight hamstring, because it's going to teach your body which range of motion you're really strong at and which range of motion you're weak. So you want to work those weak range of motions, right? So I prescribe 8 to 15 reps for 3 to 4 sets. And the important thing is that if you're new to this and you're having a hard time doing this, you can literally just always slide it out without pulling it back in, right? It's extremely important. And one thing I always look at is that if your quads are really strong, your hamstring going to need to be even stronger, right? Because your quad's going to overpower the hamstring. The hamstring has nowhere to move. You kind of want to balance it out, right? The ideal ratio is you want to be, like 2 to 1, right? And let's say if your quad strength is at 100, you want your hamstring to be at 50. Now, most of the time when we see athletes who have chronic hamstring injury, that's not the case. Their quads tend to be very, very strong, and the hamstring is much weaker. So the quads is the goal muscle, where the hamstring is the brake muscle. So in this case with Dak, like as you can see, when he pushed off, he's pushing off using his quads, using his glutes. As he tried to produce force, the hamstring has no strength to control the quads and the glutes, so it's getting overpowered, and therefore that's when you have that, that mechanism where the hamstring is tearing off the bone, right? And we don't want that. So, that's the exercise I highly recommend for you to do. Again, 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 12 rests, right? And then again, this is the advanced one. If you want to go single leg, that's really hard, but you can always build up your tolerance for that. Now, the next one I'm going to show is going to be using the glute ham raises, right? So the glute ham raises is great. If you have one of these at your strength conditioning facility, it's absolutely vital, because, what this does is teach your body how to essentially control your whole entire body and challenge your hamstrings to stabilize you even more, right? So you've seen this on social media before, where people are coming all the way down, going all the way back up, which is really hard to do. And now if you're starting this out, I would just focus on just lowering myself without bringing myself back up. I would just think about lowering it down, hold that there, and then use your arm to bring back up, right? Clearly, I've been training hamstring for a while, so I am able to crank these guys out. Now, you can see the easier alternative that I'm showing you right here. With the easier one, what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me go down. I'm going to hold that there where I feel weak, and I'm just going to reach my arm forward, right? By reaching my arm forward, back and forth, it's requiring my hamstring to engage even more. So if you're young athletes and you're not used to training your hamstring and you're going to cramp, I would highly recommend doing this modification first before you started going to the whole full range of motion back and forth, because you want to build your hamstring tolerance, right? You don't want to injure and you want to get cramped, because that also defeats the purpose as well. So with that being said, after we go through all that, if you have to get hamstring surgery, it's going to require up to 6 months to recover, right? Depending on the severity of the hamstring. like the key to this and the reason why I'm doing all of this is that I don't want that injury to happen in the first place. If you did have some hamstring injury, I want you to start addressing it now. So therefore it doesn't get that bad, right? You see, I have my book back there, the Complete Guide to ACL Rehab. I've seen season-ending injuries all the time. That's what we specialize in. The point of me doing this is that let's get ahead of the injury before it becomes something else, right? Another thing that you guys might not know is that if you have hamstring injury, you are likely going to go out and tear your ACL because your hamstring is the brake, like I mentioned before, and the hamstring helps stabilize your ACL. So if you're playing hurt right now with some sort of hamstring weakness or tightness, I would highly recommend you guys start doing these exercises I give because it should not take more than 10 minutes. And, you know, your seasons depend on it. And if you have aspiration of playing Division I or going pro, the best way to do that is availability, right? And to be available, you need to be healthy. So that's it for today for the PT reaction, portion. So if you guys like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.